So 48 nations, 16 stadiums, and literally just one beautiful trophy. The 2026 World Cup fever has absolutely taken over. And, as things heat up across North America, everyone in the football world is desperately trying to answer one kind of impossible question: who's actually going to win the whole thing? Well, if we look at the data, the analysts, and the global betting markets, there's a resounding, totally unanimous thesis emerging. They're all pointing to one team standing head and shoulders above the rest, and that's Spain. Today, we're going to use the hard numbers and the recent on-pitch evidence to explain exactly why La Raja are the undisputed favorites to lift that trophy, and why understanding the specific Spanish machine is going to completely change how you watch the rest of the tournament. Okay, let's dive into this. Because honestly, any conversation about the favorites has to start with this absolutely massive figure: $1.6 billion. We're talking about the current trading volume on Polymarket, which is the world's largest prediction market. So, this isn't just some casual fan poll or a couple of pundits making guesses on TV. No, this represents serious global financial weight backing this analytical claim. When you've got this much capital converging on a single outcome in what is famously an unpredictable tournament, well, it absolutely demands our attention. Right, so exactly what is all that money saying? Currently, prediction markets are giving Spain a 16 to 17% probability to win the entire tournament. Now, I know what you might be thinking. At first glance, 16% might not sound like a locked-in guarantee, right? But context is literally everything here. Experts emphasize that in a massive, newly expanded 48-team tournament field, carrying a 16 to 17% win probability is a staggering mathematical edge. No single nation should theoretically dominate the pie chart this much in a field this incredibly vast. And it's not just the prediction markets either. The traditional sports books are perfectly aligning with this data. For example, over at FanDuel, they've priced Spain right at the very top at plus 450. That puts them just a hair ahead of a major heavy-hitting powerhouse like France at plus 480. Following them, you've got England at plus 650, Brazil at plus 750, and the reigning champions Argentina sitting further down at plus 900. So when the sharp money and public sentiment align this cleanly across the board, it tells us that Spain's edge is very real, it's measurable, and it's exactly where the smart money is sitting. Section 1. Anatomy of the Spanish Machine. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer embarrassment of riches and, frankly, the bold choices inside manager Luis de la Fuente's fluid 4-3-3 system. Take a look at that last point: 0 Real Madrid players on the squad. Let that sink in. The manager was able to just leave out Galactico-level talent, guys like Dean Huijsen, completely avoid any potential club politics, and he still fields the deepest team in the tournament. It's wild. Instead, the core of this team relies on the generational magic of 18-year-old Lamine Yamal out on the wing, which is then balanced perfectly by the anchoring, veteran presence of the 2024 Ballon d'Or winner, Rodri, right in the midfield. It's basically a perfect storm of youth, discipline, and total tactical flexibility. Section 2. Why the rivals fall short. Of course, to truly grasp Spain's supremacy here, we have to take an objective look at the rest of the field. When you contrast these heavyweights directly, the differences become pretty stark. Spain boasts this unified, cohesive identity and just incredible squad depth. But contrast that with France, right? The French arguably have the deepest talent pool in the world, plus Kylian Mbappe up front, but their historical fatal flaw is this tendency to look brittle and fail to actually cohere as a collective unit in major knockouts. Then, think about England. Super structurally disciplined, sure, but analysts always point to their historical habit of exiting via penalty shootouts and, crucially, their lack of a truly world-class creative link in the midfield. Even Argentina, carrying the heavy emotional weight of Messi's final bow, suffers from an aging depth chart when you compare it to Spain's vibrant youth. Section 3. Dominating the round of 32. But, theories only mean so much until you actually step onto the pitch. And if we track the timeline of their undeniable 3-0 dismantling of a highly disciplined Austrian side in Los Angeles, you really see the relentless, suffocating nature of their attack. They had a disallowed goal early on, but they didn't panic at all. In the 36th minute, Mikel Oyarzabal opened the scoring. Then, in the 66th minute, defender Pedro Porro steps up and heads in a beautiful cross for his first ever international goal. And finally, 89th minute, Oyarzabal secures the brace. This wasn't just a solid win, it was genuinely historic. Oyarzabal became the first Spaniard ever to score 2 or more goals in 2 different matches at the same World Cup. And honestly, the confidence radiating from this squad right now is just palpable. Listen to this defiant post-match quote from Mikel Oyarzabal.
When reporters asked him about facing either Portugal or Croatia in their upcoming blockbuster match in Dallas, his response was simply, "Bring them on." I mean, that is the swagger of a team that knows exactly how incredibly good they are.
But hey, while the attack gets all the flashy headlines, I want to slow down for just a second. Let's shift our focus to the absolute mastery of the Spanish defense. Against an Austrian team that fought tooth and nail just to get to the knockouts, guess how many total shots on target they actually managed against Spain? So the crucial point is zero. Literally zero shots on target to completely shut down a team to the point where your goalkeeper doesn't even have to make a single official save in a World Cup knockout match. That is almost unheard of. In fact, this hasn't happened in a World Cup knockout game since Germany did it to Argentina way back in the 2014 final. We are talking about total suffocating control. And that zero leads us directly to this staggering number right here, 519 minutes. Because with that clean sheet against Austria, which, by the way, was their 5th straight of the tournament, Spanish goalkeeper Unai Simon officially broke the legendary Walter Zenga's iconic 1990 record of 517 consecutive minutes without conceding a single goal at the World Cup. It's this massive defensive wall that just perfectly complements their fluid attack. But beyond all the stats and the records, there's a very human, emotional core driving this team, and I think it's perfectly captured by the 18-year-old sensation Lamine Yamal. After recovering from a hamstring injury that had been bothering him early in the tournament, he said, "I'm thinking about advancing further and fulfilling my dream of winning a World Cup with Spain." You've got the brightest young star in global football, playing with just pure joy, totally unburdened by the failures of past generations, and doing it all on the world's biggest stage. Section 4. Final hurdles to world glory. But as any football fan will tell you, the World Cup is notoriously unforgiving. The margins for error on this path are incredibly, unbelievably slim. Analysts warn of a few key X factors here. First, there's Rodri's fitness. While he's aiming to be at his absolute peak, a fully fit Rodri is hands down their greatest tactical asset. Without him dictating that tempo, their win probability takes a massive hit. Second, there's the pressure. I mean, everybody is targeting them now. Can teenagers like Yamal handle the suffocating weight of being the outright favorites? And finally, the cruelest equalizer in all of sports, penalty shootouts. Spain's record from the spot is solid, but in a massive knockout format, statistics say you're probably going to face at least one shootout. And that is a pure coin flip that absolutely does not care about your possession stats. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to end our explainer on. We've seen the flawless data, we've seen the betting odds, the historic defensive records, and that unmatched tactical depth. But the real beauty of the World Cup is that it isn't played on a spreadsheet. So can the sheer chaotic pressure of an expanded 48-team format eventually find a crack and break the Spanish machine? Or are we truly watching the unstoppable march of the 2026 world champions? Keep your eyes on the pitch because we are definitely about to find out. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack the data today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.